recording. And I wanted to welcome everybody to tonight's Stay True team call. Hopefully you can see the screen here. It is Monday, almost said Thursday. It's Monday, October 10th of 2016. Tonight's call, I had to come up with a fun title, but basically it's called Beware of the Valley of Death. Now I got this title. I've got to give credit where credit's due. I've been listening to podcasts by Brian Hellig. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, or Bob Hellig. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Very good podcast for network marketing. So that's where I have gotten the idea for this call, but it's very applicable to our business and where I will find myself at times. So I'm excited to share that information with you. First, we're going to do some recognition, and I'm going to let Beth go ahead and go over the recognition with you guys. So let's do some announcements first. All right, announcements. Go ahead.
No, I didn't even.
All right, so teambeachbody.com, that is our website that we log into as coaches, and people go and purchase. That's going to be down tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're up early and you're trying to do something online, if it's screwy, don't get upset, don't get mad. Just know that this is a planned outage for a technology update that they're doing to upgrade the websites and everything like that. Super Saturday, just a reminder, is October 29th. We're having it here at our house. That's going to be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And because of that time frame, we're not going to have a big spread of food or anything like that. I'll probably have coffee, water.
Yeah, and if you want to bring something, I mean, we could have like
donuts or something like that. Kegs and eggs. I don't know. No.
I mean, you can eat while you're here. It won't be like lunch or anything.
Right. Okay.
Kegs and eggs.
October Success Club is the prize for that is a personal development webcast with social media expert Eric Quailman. I personally have never heard of the guy, but from what I read in his bio, he's very much enthralled with all the just social media and social media technology and all that other stuff. So I'm interested in listening to that, and so I'm going to shoot to get to Success Club 5 at a minimum. But he's also known as the Tony Robbins of tech, so sounds kind of interesting. All right, so now we'll talk about September Success Club.
Okay, sadly, no Success Club 10 people. Such a bummer. I tried. I'm sure a lot of you tried. Success Club 5, which is awesome because it was still super slow. I just feel like it's been so slow. I'm not sure if you guys are feeling the same, but congrats to Dan and Courtney for getting Success Club 5. And then Success Club earners.
Wait, and congrats to Beth. You got to give yourself props. Yeah.
Success Club earners are Glenn, Lindsay, Abby, Sunny, Moppy, Chad, which would also be Courtney, so she might have been close to 10. Mm-hmm. Summer, Gretchen, and Tom, again, together they might have been close to 10. Heather and Monica Montgomery. So awesome job, and hopefully that list will be even longer in October.
Yes, get rid of that non-applicable under Success Club 10. Dan, I think I saw you're cruising along. I think Dan already has like 6 points this month. So.
Oh, nice.
Awesome
so
job.
This is much better. I love seeing this. Like, I like when he has to really like change the font to fit all the names on here. So for team volume for this week, myself and Bill, Dan, Glenn, Courtney, Tom, who's also Gretchen, Monica, Christina, who's Mia on Facebook, Lindsay, Julie, another Lindsay Fleming, Jessica, Tracy, Rachel, Emily, Rachel, Lisa, Tina, Kristen Lopez, who is Beto in our group, and Nancy. So that's awesome. I love seeing those long lists. So keep up the great work, and hopefully next week we're reading double that.
Yeah. It's always fun to read more and more names and mispronounce more and more names and all that stuff. So you guys put me on the spot there. All right, guys. So we're going to jump into the Valley of Death. And
Good grief. You should have saved this for like Halloween night.
Well, it's October, so it's getting there. We're getting there.
You should have worn the kids that scary mask.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, guys. So the Valley of Death, and why is it called this? Basically, this is where almost most new people or even seasoned people like myself, I find myself doing this, or I catch myself falling into this valley. And this is where we see our businesses start to die, or maybe not our whole business, but that business deal or that conversation with the customer. I hear myself doing it. I've heard Beth doing it on the phone when she's talking to people. And basically, the way we end up in the valley is we start to rely more on ourselves and stop utilizing the third-party info, such as the videos, the three-way calls, presentations, recorded calls, PowerPoints, whatever it may be. Those of you that are Automatic ACEO, we stop utilizing that presentation for the business opportunity, and we try to sit there on the phone and describe all the benefits of Shakeology ourselves, or all the benefits of a program or the details of a program all by ourselves without utilizing an expert or a third-party tool like a video. So, the one of the key points is that the less you say, the more you will make. And so thinking about this, it's basically the more often you're using a third-party tool, the more often others can see themselves doing what we do as coaches. In other words, if you're talking to somebody, for example, if I have a master's degree in muscle physiology, Beth has one in exercise science. And so, we don't want people, I really don't want people to know that, really, when I'm talking to them about Beachbody, because I don't want them to think that they have to have that level of expertise to be a Beachbody coach. But a lot of times, we do find ourselves in a situation where we're starting to go down the road explaining stuff, and it overcomplicates it and probably turns people away because they think they couldn't do that. So this is, using a third-party tool, it's a lot easier to do on the first interaction when you're just introducing them to a program or Shakeology, where you send them a Shako video or workout program. But the problem comes in when you continue to have those conversations after they watch that and they start asking you questions and everything. That's when I personally, and I know Beth and a couple other people, we probably just say way too much, and we should still be falling back on the third-party tools.
I use my third-party tools. Throw me under the bus right in front of everybody.
Okay, so how to use third-party tools after the first interaction. So we need to think about this, guys, and this is kind of a funny way of thinking about it, but again, it's fall season, so we're in that type of apple pumpkin festival type time of year. But we're looking at sorting out our people, okay, that we're talking to. So we're going to look at red apples. They're ready to sign up on the spot. They're ready. They're ripe to, you can eat them right away. They're ready to join us right away. So the red apples, those people, we don't have too much interaction with them after the first interaction. This is too good to be true. They just said yes, and they bought the challenge pack all within the same 24-hour period. So those people we don't really worry about too much. The rotten apples, these are people that can drive you crazy because that it would be great for them, but they're just negative. There's nothing that you tell them, that you do, or that you say that really can make a difference, but that our programs could have a big impact on their health and their wellness. So, but the rotten apples, we kind of just got to pick up, look at, and throw to the side. So then the next one are the green apples. And this is where we need to spend our time with. These are the people who basically are on the fence, or they have questions. You show them the first interaction, the first third-party tool. They come back and They might have start asking a bunch of different questions. And this is where the majority of the people that I talk to fall into this category of being a green apple. So, like I mentioned, they have questions and they want more information. But then all of a sudden, this is when we start falling into the valley of death. Okay. So we're cruising along, everything's good. Then all of a sudden we start slipping. So here's where our natural tendency kicks in. It is natural for us to basically tell the prospects or start, answering their questions right away because they're asking them, they're firing questions off to you, and you just naturally want to answer them. And so this is when the valley, you're starting to fall down into the valley, is when we start answering the questions, so that basically that positions us as the expert, and we really, really don't want to be the experts. So at this point, what we should be doing instead is using a 3-way call with somebody that you've edified to the person, saying, you know what, Moppy, I don't know all the answers to your questions, but I'm sure Beth could help us out. Beth has done the 21-day fix multiple rounds. She's had many customers have a huge amount of success with that program. Why don't we jump on a phone call with her, and she can answer your questions. Okay. And so basically, if you already know the answers, say you've done the 21-day fix 10 times more than Beth, but and you could answer their questions, you want to not do that. You don't want to portray that you know the answers to the questions, because again, you want to show your prospect every step of the way. Keep in mind that this prospect, a customer prospect, could be your next coach. So you want to show them every step of the way that they don't need to be an expert, that this is a simple business, that, they have, you have an upline, you have people that support you and help you build your business. And so anybody can do this business. You just need to get in front of people and present this opportunity to them. So my third point here is, if you're making yourself the expert and it turns into this 30-minute Q&A session, subconsciously what you're telling the prospect is you need to be an expert in order to do this business. And I know I keep repeating that, but that's the main point of this presentation, guys, is for you to not become the expert. So you're going to hear me drilling that into us throughout this presentation here. So what this does is it can intimidate them and show them that they don't have time for the business, because they feel like they would have to learn all the answers to everyone's questions. And, that can be very intimidating, especially if you're talking to somebody who, has zero background in health and wellness, is just figuring things out and just learned what a calorie is, or learned what a portions, control is, and all that. So we don't want to be overwhelming people with them thinking they need to know all this information. So what do you say or do when you're having a conversation and it starts going down into the valley? What you need to do is you need to stop the conversation and you say, you know what, that's a great question. What we need to do is we need to get you on the phone with the person who's been helping me. They've been successful, they are the expert, and I would love for you to talk to them. So basically just stop the conversation and just say, it sounds like you have a lot of questions. I think it would be great if we got Dan on the phone and he could help us out, because Dan's the expert. He knows, he's been a Beachbody coach for 5 years, and he's helped, thousands of people become healthier. So now you've edified Dan. He's now the expert. You're no longer the expert. Okay. So we need to set up that call, obviously, right? So then this demonstrates, again, the simplicity of the business. You don't need to be the expert. All right. So your customer sees that they don't need to be an expert if they ever become a coach. All right. So how does this all help? Basically, your prospects will see the simplicity of what you are doing and what you did with them. And these all include, you invited them to look at a video. We gave them somebody on, we got them on a call. you may have given them a sample of a product or sold them a sample of the product, so they've been introduced to the product. You started asking questions, or they started asking questions. You got them on a phone call with somebody else that could answer those questions. And then in the back of their mind, they're saying, oh, this is simple. I could do this. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing that they need to know all about. They just need to know basically, what video do I send them, and who can I get them on a phone call with in order to get answers, to questions that my possible customers have. And then it also, by getting them on the phone, by getting a 3-way call going, this shows support and that there are people to help them build their business when they're ready to become a coach. Okay, so what if you're talking to somebody and they refuse to get on a 3-way call, or they're just saying, I want to hear it from you, I don't want to hear it from Dan or another coach. So the biggest thing here, guys, is to pretty much watch what the prospect does versus what they are saying. Because how many of us have talked to people, and they're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll look at the video, yeah, I'm excited about this, I want to order, or yeah, I want to do this, I'm ready to do this. And then you send them stuff, and then crickets, you don't hear back from them, right? So, a great example of this that I personally experienced was when I signed Jen Novak up as a coach. I signed her up for I think it was a 30-day training, and I sent her day one, and 10 minutes after I sent it to her, she sent me a message, hey, can you just send me the week's worth of training at a time, because I'm sitting here at work and I have some time that I can do this training. And so I was thinking, oh boy, I don't know, can I do that? I was going through that in my head, and it was super exciting for me because she was a doer. She was getting it done. She went through the training. I think she went through all the training, of months worth of training, in it may have been 4 days. So, that's a great example of watch what that person is doing instead of listening to what they're saying. If they don't want to get on a call, then they probably are a 3 or 4 on a 10 scale as far as, showing interest or being a good prospect. So basically, they're not at a point to get on a call, but they may still say, hey, here's what I need. Can you answer these questions for me, Glenn? And I'm basically at this point is when I turn around and I will give them more information or the resources to find those answers, but I'm not going to answer their questions for them. Okay. I'm going to point them to more third-party tools in order for them to get their answers. Okay. If they're insisting or, very persistent on wanting to hear it from you, at this point, you still have to not let them talk you into doing that, even though you may want to. And especially, guys, I have to apologize to you guys because this took a long time for me to adopt into my business, and I'm still working on it. And the main reason is because, I didn't really have the support of an upline when I started my business. So I didn't have that third party to call and that third party expert to call, to call, just because my upline, was pretty much non-existent until when Jeff Armbruster came along after the coach that sponsored me basically quit. So this stuff is something that I'm working on and something that hasn't really been a huge part of our training. But I think that I've heard about this going on and people kind of slipping into the valley a lot more recently. And I've caught myself doing it more often. And so it was ideal timing for me to, have a conversation with you guys about this. So don't let them run your business. You're in charge of your business. You're in charge of the way that you run it. So just stay steadfast on sending them the resources so they can see or find the answers for themselves. My next point is stick to your guns. Just to tell the prospect, if you're interested and you want to know more, here is a video or document, or you know what, we need to call and talk to Dan to get the answers to these questions because he's the expert. Okay, so the takeaway message from the last call that we did was the takeaway method. So if you guys haven't watched that call, be sure you do go back and listen to that, because we talked about a method that really works. I showed some concrete examples of that working for me. I showed you guys 2 examples, and I was actually 3 for 4 on those examples as far as people responding back to me by using that takeaway method. So it works. I'll take 3 out of 4 any day of the week. So if somebody is, being persistent and they want to hear it from you, then you can say something along the lines of, maybe this opportunity isn't for you. Here's the video you need to watch, or the person we need to talk to in order to get to the next step. And then if you could also say, if you're not interested, that is totally fine. But when you are ready, let me know and we can schedule a call, or, here's the video. Why don't you just check it out and we can talk after you're done. What's I've learned and what I've heard personally is that when you do that and you start taking it away, they may say, well, wait a minute. It's not that I'm interested. I just need to know the answers to these questions. And then again, you can say, okay, great. Let's jump on a call or watch this video or something like that. You really want to stand strong. And a lot of times I'll hear myself tell them, listen, I don't know all the information about Shakeology. There's so much to know about it. And this video will do a much better explanation about whether it's Shakeology or the business opportunity or the compensation plan, or, you name it. We have a video that will do a better job explaining it than I will, or than, anybody will, really. So if they say, I really don't want to hear it from anyone else, then you can say something, well, when you're interested, that's the next step. So maybe this isn't for you right now. Why don't you just join in on one of my challenge groups, try the products, or continue using the products? And again, you're just kind of taking it away. So this is very bold. Okay. By now I probably honestly would break. I'd probably just spit out a bunch of facts on them. But this is very much as far as positioning yourself and having a strong posture and having a backbone to stand up to people, because this is what they've shown or has been shown to work. And it's a lot. I've heard this in training from Eric Worre. I've heard this in training from Brian Carruthers, now from this Bob Heilig. So multiple people who have been like uber successful in multi-level marketing, have used this method, and all of them have recommended doing this and never getting off track from utilizing third-party tools, and use the 3-way call, and, use in-person presentations and things like that. So answering questions and explaining is not as effective as using a third-party tool. And I think once we grasp that and understand that, then it will make our business a lot more smoother. It'll make it a lot more simple, so that people won't be intimidated when they think about themselves as being a coach. Again, it demonstrates the simplicity, and it allows you to sort through people and really think about their actions, and those actions that they take are going to express their level of interest. So let your upline be the expert. When you're thinking, or when you have a follow-up call with a prospect, give your upline or somebody that you can trust, give them a call or shoot them a message and just say, hey, I'm about to jump on a call, or hey, I've got a call scheduled tomorrow at 10 a.m. Is it possible that you could be available if we need to do a 3-way call? Just give that person, the expert, a little background as to the scenario of the call, and then introduce them on the call. If it was me and Beth was my prospect, and I, said, hey, there's, Tiffany, and we're going to call Tiffany Beth because she'll be able to do a better job at answering your questions, then, that I would just introduce the 2 of them on the phone, and then I would say, okay, Beth, Tiffany's the expert here. She'll be able to answer your questions, and then they can start their conversation. And I kind of just be quiet and sit in the background. All right. So one of the other takeaways is to start saying less to more people. All right. So you're going to say less to more people. And again, we all know this, but a lot of times or not a lot of times, all the time, our business is a numbers game. The more people we talk to, the more people we reach out to, the more people we want to help, the more people we engage with, the more people, we will have that opportunity to help and engage with and help them with their fitness. So, just start saying less to more people. All right. So that is the end. Let me do this and stop the share. Okay. And then I'm going to unmute people. And if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. And if you're on the phone, I'm not sure what to tell you to do, but if you're on the phone, just shoot me a text or something if you have a question or a comment. Anybody? Beth told me this is going to happen. Oh, Dan has something. Hold on.
I just unmuted myself. No, I was going to say, I think it's probably more of a comment. This is just a good reminder call for me, because I know that I do a lot of times tend to talk too much, and I do answer all the questions, and I do want to be the guy that knows it all. But I think that's kind of like part of our human nature sometimes, is we don't want to look or appear that we don't have the answer, because that makes us look bad. Where in all reality, that's exactly what we need to be doing here. We need to say, like you said, here, you know what? That's great. I'm glad you have interest. Let me shoot you this video. It's going to say it way better than I will, because I know I default to I do know the answer. Let me tell you. So if any of you want to use me as an expert, by all means, feel free, because I like to talk. But I need to get better at doing the same thing and reaching out to Glenn and saying, hey, why don't we get on a call with my upline Glenn, and he can tell you a little bit more about this. That's where I need to work. So I think this is a good reminder call. I think everybody needs to take that to heart and look at yourself and say, can I take a step back and can I do that? Because it just might grow your business. Don't be afraid. Try it. See what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard because, like Dan said, I defer to you for like business boring things, but I cannot imagine saying, oh, you have a question about the 21-day fixed meal plan? Let me get Glenn on the phone.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be the right person for that. No. Probably Moppy or, somebody.
But some of that is like, I want people to know that I've done that program. I've already, like I usually say, this is my most popular program. Let me send you the video.
Right.
Because it's our most popular program, of course I can answer the questions you've had because I've done it.
Oh, right. But what are if the questions are maybe like, how long are the workouts, stuff like that, then they should have probably seen that in the video, but still.
Yeah, I think one of the...
I concur, Beth. I'm like the same way, because the 21-day fix is like my go-to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess
I know a lot about it. I know how to fail forward. I know how to do it right. You know what I mean? So like, you did bring up a good point though. People need to know that they don't have to be like intimidated by the process, whether it's coming into a workout or the business. I get that part, but at the same time, it's like, well, if I don't know the answers, then they're going to be like, well, you know what? Whatever, I'm going to walk away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think because we have, I guess I'm doing this wrong because I usually tell people, like with Beachbody On Demand, I'll say, once you get signed up, if you have questions about any of the programs, let me know, because I've been doing this long enough that I've done most of these programs. So I can point you, like if you tell me I like P90X, then I can say, okay, here's another program similar to that. But I do also tell them a lot of times, like, listen, we work as a team. So if you have certain questions, I always, especially with Glenn and I having always done this together, I always say, like, for men, of course, if you'd rather talk with a man, or, there's definitely been plenty of times where I've shared hey, we work as a team, and I always tell people, ask me any question you have, because if I don't know the answer, I can find out the answer. Like, we
Right.
have a bunch of support.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
keep in mind too, though, when you talk about somebody who's already signed up and they're looking at programs, that's a red apple, right? Those are the ones we're talking. Green apples that are people who you haven't totally, quote unquote, sold, but they're thinking about this process. And another thought that I had as Glenn was talking through this is, how much work could I have saved myself in stress? I mean, think about all the times where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to tell them what Shakeology is. How do I tell them? How do I sell it? Think about how many times you've ran a conversation, all of you guys, not just Glenn, but think how many times you've ran that conversation through your head. What am I going to say when they ask me about Shakeology? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And you try to work it out perfect, and you try to get the right words, and you think, okay, this is the most popular question they're going to ask, so this is how I'm going to answer it. When ultimately you could have said, you know what, that's a great question. I'm going to send you this video. It tells you all about Shakeology. Check it out, and let's talk afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you go watch the video too, and now you both watch the exact same thing. So when they ask you a question, it's going to be in reference to something you just watched.
Yeah, and it
you're not
is
guessing.
good to go back and watch them. You
Mhm.
know, like, I have all my links saved, so I haven't watched a Shakeology video in a long time, and the other day, but I do share it all the time. I usually say one sentence about, like, I absolutely love it. I love how it boosts my energy and curbs my cravings. Check out the video for more info, and then let me know what questions you have. But
Yeah, and that's
it is
perfect.
good to go back and watch the video,
Yeah.
because it had been like a year since I had watched it, and then there was a new one on there that I'm like, oh, I kind of like that one better. I'll start sharing that one now. But
Yeah. And there's actually and I have to rewatch it as well to make sure it's still valid, but there's a great video in your back office about challenge groups. And
Yeah.
even when somebody asks, what is a challenge group? How does it work? Send them that video.
yeah, that's
And these people really explain what a challenge group is. And then you have to just kind of follow through with.
Is it the one where it looks
the
like a face?
flashcards.
Or there's there's that one. Have you ever felt like this? But then there's also the one where it shows, like, it looks like a Facebook page, and they
Yeah. It's actually, they're showing
yeah.
actual challengers talking about what the group did for them and the support and the accountability.
Yeah.
It's a great video.
I haven't shared that one in a while.
No. So, I mean, if anything that you get from this call, maybe we sparked some initiative for you guys to kind of take initiative and go look in your online office at the different videos, and check out all the options that are there, and see if you find one, that might be your favorite video to send to people. There might be, a lot of good information that you don't know about or know that you have access to. So, I would encourage you guys. I always get excited after these calls, because I really hope that, I get messages, or I have people reach out to me and say, hey, I've got this customer. Would you be open to doing a call? Or if Beth gets those messages, I get excited for that whole process to begin. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals where I know we don't do third party or three-way calls at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, we don't do them, right? I don't know if, I can't speak for anybody, but I may have done one in my entire career as a coach, you know what I mean? So it's something that, reading this or being reminded of all this, I know I'm going to really focus in on what I'm doing, the ways I'm doing things, and making sure that I'm not falling into that valley, of trying to answer everything myself. So, so guys, be ready for me to reach out and say, hey. I mean, I'll probably use Beth a lot.
No, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to make him rely on you guys.
But,
Just kidding.
so, yeah.
All right. Anything else that's completely
Comments or-
unrelated, or?
Okay, Jen, go ahead.
Oh, she's
Hold on. You're muted still. Now
Wait
you're muted.
until you guys are done recording, because I didn't want to ask it while you're recording.
Okay, hold on 1 second here.
You better ask the question, Ryan.
I am going to ask
I'm
it,
not playing
but
with
it's
you.
not